Okay, yeah, sorry, I forgot. Okay, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, may I kindly ask you to be seated? May I kindly ask you to be seated so that we get over with the boring part? Yes. Okay. I think we can start get over with the formalities so that we can all enjoy our gala dinner. It's me again being the pain. I promised you when we left the. Can I kindly ask for a little bit, just really 2 minutes? Thank you. So I promised you when I let you go 2 hours ago, or a bit more, that I'll be back just for a couple of minutes to finish the last part of the program that we had no strength to finish during the conference. So we have, but it's an important one. That's why I wanted you refreshed and energized so that we can wrap it up in a couple of minutes. So it's the Porto resolution that we have prepared and shared with you. I'm sure that throughout the day you had the chance to take a look at it. If you don't mind, for those who haven't and were a little bit busy or lazy or whatever, I'll quickly read it out and then I will ask you to vote whether you approve the Porto Declaration so that we can officially adopt it and publish it. So we, the Jewish leaders, gathered in Porto on this day, the 15th of May 2023. We welcome the plans for national governments to date in response to and incorporating the EU strategy for combating anti-Semitism and fostering Jewish lives. However, we voice a strong concern at the coupling of anti-Semitism with racism and other forms of discrimination. There is no doubt that hatred and racism must be fought in all manifestations at every level, but there is not one cure for all cancers. Anti-Semitism is unique and must be treated as such. It is unique because anti-Semitism continues to grow year on year. Anti-Semitism is state-sanctioned in many countries, and all Jews, regardless of color, observance, or political orientation, are targets for genocide. Anti-Semitism, hatred with Zionism, the right of the Jewish people to return home. Whilst the language and concept of intersectionality is popular today, we, Jewish leaders, distance ourselves and our communities from the concept of intersectionality because the inter is missing. There is little to no solidarity or empathy towards Jewish communities from other groups affected by hate when anti-Semitism atrocities occur or when Israelis are murdered in terrorist acts. Furthermore, the vast majority of Jews who support the State of Israel are excluded from events, rallies, and other intersectional events because of that particular support. For all of the reasons above, we, Jewish leaders, urge national governments who are preparing national plans on combating anti-Semitism or who have already prepared those plans to decouple anti-Semitism from all other forms of hate and treat it in isolation. National governments should also practice what they preach. Therefore, we, Jewish leaders, call upon heads of the EU to initiate legislation preventing those with avowed anti-Semitic positions from running from office in EU institutions. We, Jewish leaders, also state our unreserved support for the State of Israel, including any democratically elected government. Out of great love and sincere concern for our brothers and sisters in Israel, we call on the political leadership of all parties in Israel to rise above their differences while fulfilling the order that call Israel Arevim Selazeh. We, Jewish leaders, ask the European Jewish Association to forward this resolution to national parliaments and or the relevant regional authorities on our shared behalf and to the government and political parties of the State of Israel. Made in Porto, 15th of May 2023. I would kindly ask you, those who agree with the text I just read, to raise your hands. Thank you. Is there anyone against the text of the resolution? I would then say that it's unanimously approved. Thank you very much. And having said that, that's the end of my interventions for today. I would kindly ask your host for this evening, Rabbi Eli Edelkopf, to take the floor. Thank you very much once again.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. My name is Eli Edelkop, Director of the European Jewish Development Fund, which supports different projects across Europe through advocacy, media, charity, and more. It is work that I am extremely proud to do alongside my dear friend and colleague, Rabbi Menachem Margolin. Speaking of this work, let's take a couple of minutes to see what all of us here are achieving as part of the EJA.
The EJA exists to make life better for Jews in Europe, free from hate, free from ignorance, free of anti-Semitism, free to grow, free to be. We know that in every generation, Jews have faced challenges. Time and time again, the links in our long, unbroken chain have been put under immense pressure. During the Holocaust, they were almost broken completely. In a continent that should know and act differently, anti-Semitism, the oldest hatred, still persists. Anti-Semitism includes anti-Zionism too, the latest manifestation of anti-Semitism, hatred of the Jewish state and all it stands for. Anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism need to be fought daily. But we must also always be on our guard against laws that would achieve the same ends as the anti-Semites want, an end to Jewish life in Europe. We will never allow that to happen, not on our watch. The EJA's work is appreciated by politicians, diplomats, and by Jews across Europe. This is because they know that all of our activities are directed solely for the benefit of Jewish life, from the communities we serve right down to the individual Jew on their journey through life. That's why we take leading politicians and diplomats from across Europe to concentration camps and ghettos across Europe. To remember, yes, but to learn and find modern answers to an age-old problem.
We light a candle to remember those who perished and those who survived, burdened with unimaginable hardships. It is our sacred duty never to forget, never to remain silent, never again.
To find solutions and to enact laws, making life better and safer for all.
Anti-Semitism has no place in our societies. We will never tolerate the Jews' fears for their safety in the European Union.
We firmly believe there is no place for anti-Semitism, racism, and hatred within sport, within Adidas, or in society.
I really hope we can build a world without anti-Semitism, without racism, without discrimination.
The European Jewish Association fills an essential role, working in conjunction with European institutions, the Parliament, and regional national parliaments, combating anti-Semitism in all its forms, empowering Jewish communities, and strengthening Jewish life all across the continent.
The EJA is all about a Jewish future, a future that is in our hands.
EJA is giving enriching opportunities to European Jews to learn about the reality in Israel, to interact with other Jewish leaders in the world.
I want to thank the EJA for showing us this amazing other sides and the politician and everything.
This trip is very informative for me. It helps me a lot to know how to defend the cause.
To hopefully bring a better future for European Jewry and for the public image of Israel.
Jewish communities are the lifeblood of Jewish life, but too many are being left behind or are stuck in decline. The EJA brings communities together, from the biggest to the smallest, for important conferences, to make bonds, to share best practices, and to be part of something bigger than themselves. We connect them with key decision makers and policymakers in their own countries, and where the needs are greatest, we offer rabbinical, security, and charitable support.
One of the most important missions for the European Jewish Association is to work together with Jewish communities and organizations from across the continent to ensure, together with governments, universities, and authorities, that Jewish people in Europe will be able to live with security, a full freedom of religion.
Ladies and gentlemen, all of this work would not be possible without the hard work and dedication of the APA team, led by our Managing Director, Yorgos Papadakis. Please give them a warm round of applause. I would like to invite the APA team on stage to show our appreciation, and EJA team to show our appreciation and thank you for all the hard work that they are doing throughout the year, and especially for this remarkable event. Picante. Where is Alex? Salam. Wait. Okay, so. Alex. Wait. Thank you again. Shh. Behind every great team, there is a great general with a vision, strategies, drive, and leadership. Shh. It is my pleasure to give the floor to the chairman of the European Jewish Association, Rabbi Menachem Margolin.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, a short 3 words in Hebrew, בהמשך הבניין תנוחמו. By your continued building, you will be comforted. It has been a busy day, a productive day, and perhaps a little bit scary. when we think about the mountain we still have to climb. But we will climb it all together. I would like to share with you an inspiring story from 1957. It comes from a place very close to my heart, the place where I am originally from. For 4 days, the small village in Israel called Kfar Chabad had been in deep mourning. A band of Fedayeen, a terror group, had entered the village. They made their way to the synagogue of the local school, where the kids were in the middle of the evening prayers, and opened fire. 5 children and 1 teacher were killed, and another 10 children wounded. The tough villagers, Hasidim from Russia, Hasidim who had escaped pogroms and terrible anti-Semitism, these Hasidim who were banished to Siberia were destroyed. A pogrom in Israel? They couldn't believe it. There were some who saw what happened as a sign that their dream of a peaceful life in the Holy Land was perhaps a premature. Perhaps we should seek refuge in a safer place, they asked themselves. In short, the village was slowly dying. But it was clear to everyone that before any decision could be made, the Rebbe in New York had to be consulted. And everyone waited for the reply. Reply to the telegrams he had sent, informing the Rebbe of the tragedy, and an answer was expected that same night. But the Rebbe was silent. What happened? Many wondered. Why doesn't he respond? And then, 4 days after the tragedy, the telegram arrived. The news spread throughout the village. A telegram from the Rebbe. The telegram has finally arrived. The entire village, men, women, children, they all got together in the village square to hear the Rebbe's reply. The telegram contained 3 Hebrew words, but these 3 words were enough to save the village from disintegration and its inhabitants from despair. Behemshech habinyan tenuchamu, wrote the Rebbe, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson. By your continued building, you will be comforted. The villagers of Kfar Chabad knew what they had to do. They must build. The Rebbe said, to build. They built a school where children from disadvantaged background would be taught the printing trade. On the very spot where the blood was spilled, the building was raised. Why did the reply from the Rebbe take so long, though? When he was handed the telegram, the Rebbe sank into his chair. He locked his door and did not open it for 3 days. After 3 days, where nobody saw him, he called his secretary and dictated his reply. Behemshech habinyan tenuchamu. 3 words. 1 word a day, and it was enough. My friends, we must remember that sometimes we search too long to find the right words. We too have faced our own tragedies and difficulties in our communities, in many countries in Europe. But we must continue to build. Nobody can put such meaning into 3 words as the Rebbe did back then. But here in Porto, we are trying with 7 words instead, shaping the future of European Jewry together. And I am so proud to be able to build with every single one of you. The best answer to anti-Semitism is to build. We should build kindergartens. We should build schools. We should organize cultural events and events just for the fun. We should outreach every single Jew we know and make all of them proud of who we are and what we could contribute to the entire world. Let's make all the effort to ensure that no one single Jew will be left behind. Let's roll up our sleeves and get to it together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rabbi Margolin. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your meal accompanied by the melodies played by ad lib strings. Bon appetit.
organizar as coisas todas, os corpos todos. Yeah. Sei. Depois vamos ter que repetir.
My friends, my friends, I hope you enjoyed the first course. We have another short video for you. As we know, the EJA is all about looking after our fellow Jews throughout various activities across the continent. Let's watch it together, what the EJA is serving and doing so much for the Jewish communities all over Europe.
At the EJA, our heritage is our heart. Without it, there is no Judaism. Every year, the EJA distributes hundreds of thousands of packages for the Jewish holidays. Thousands of children and young adults take part in activities ranging from bar and bat mitzvah preparation to Shabbat weekends together and hands-on training in advocacy.
הוא חזר ממש ילד כזה, ראיתי איך שהוא יותר התבגר. הוא יהיה היידיש קינד, ובעזרת השם הוא ילמד את הילדים שלו, והילדים שלו ילמדו את הנכדים שלו.
The heart pumping with dozens of lectures, motivational speakers, and entertainment. Because being Jewish is a joy, too. Jewish means chesed, too. Chesed underpins everything we do as a people. It is the very DNA of being a Jew. The EJA has founded 34 centers for the lending of medical equipment to those most in need, regardless of faith.
Unfortunately, the majority of the Jewish people who live in Europe do not see themselves connected to any Jewish community. This is therefore that we work very hard to develop and offer projects that through them Jewish communities could outreach and get to new Jewish people and connect them to the community. As Jewish communities in Europe offer more diverse activities for the entire family, more Jews will feel more comfortable and proud to be part of it.
The EJA works for the benefit of Jews everywhere, and we invite you to be a part of our mission and life's work. A lot done, a lot more to do. Join us in making it happen.
Ladies and gentlemen, why did we come to Porto? Blessed with beautiful sightseeings and warm sun, it is good for the heart and soul to head west and spend some time in Sephardic land. But this is only partially the reason for why we're here today. We are here mainly because of the incredible Jewish community in Porto, headed by Mr. Gabriel Senderovich and Mr. David Ariel. There are no words to describe the development their leadership brought to Porto, how they made it shine to be the best it has ever been. Words cannot compete with sight. And now, here to tell us more about this remarkable story of the Jewish community of Porto is Mr. Hugo Vaz of the Jewish Museum here in Porto.
Well, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good evening, Erev Tov. After a very enriching day, I can imagine that your will right now is to enjoy this meal, so I promise I will not take long. I will invite you to imagine, like the song, a city in a small country called Portugal, with a Holocaust museum that receives around 50,000 visitors, being the large majority children in school visits, in a country with around 1 million teenagers. Imagine a daily work, except in Shabbat, from our trained educational services. Oh, sorry. Imagine all of that free of charge. Imagine the protocols and collaborative work with hundreds of public and private schools all around Portugal, including the islands. Imagine a Yom HaShoah, or a Holocaust Remembrance Day, with around 1,000 students from low socio-economical level who had the opportunity to visit a museum and to visit a city because the museum financed the transport. On these days, they are our main focus. Imagine some of these children faint in the museum because they were in a school trip and didn't have the normal meal that usually schools provide to children from poor families. Imagine now this museum offering the well-known snacks to these children during the visits and during other educative actions. Imagine now another museum, the Jewish Museum of Porto, a museum where the children can discover 4,000 years of Jewish history, a museum where the visitors can learn about Inquisition in Portugal, a museum with training courses for educators, again, free of charge, a museum where the students can learn about the Jewish religion, history, and culture. A place to destroy centenary myths, but also modern prejudices. And behind all of that, we have an active Jewish community, where you can see tefillot in Shabbat, and of course, in high holidays, a Brit Milah, a wedding, a bar mitzvah, Yom Kippur services, Sukkot, a party in Lag BaOmer, Shavuot, Purim, and obviously Hanukkah. Well, a Jewish community in Europe that does not forget how important is to educate, to combat anti-Semitism in order to live our Jewish life with security. Education is one of our best tools. So thank you for your attention, Toda Rabba, and I hope to see you tomorrow.
Thank you, Mr. Vaz, but please don't go anywhere. And also, please, join us on stage, Mr. Gabriel Sanderovich, Mr. David Ariel. I would like also to invite on stage Rabbi Menachem Margolin, Mr. Yorgos Papadakis, and Baroness Mrs. Regina Sluzny. Please join us on stage. The EJA and its delegation wanted to offer you a token of our deep admiration and gratitude for all the work you did to make us all feel so welcome.
You will give it to the president of the community. Thank you. Toda Rabba. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the rest of your meal.
No, no. Está tudo em Até aí quando é que eu leio? Divina. Qual? Sério, os concertos cada lá. Primeira.
There is a story about a young Jewish boy. There's a story about a young Jewish boy, approximately age 23. His name was Moishele, was sitting in the synagogue, and the rabbi walks in, and he sees him crying. And he asked him, Moshe, why are you crying? He says, Rabbi, it is many years, I'm looking for a shidduch, I'm looking for a matchmaking. But every girl I bring to the house, my mother says no. Rabbi, I don't know what to do. I want to get married. The rabbi told the Moishele, what you have to do, you have to find a girl who looks exactly like your mother, dresses like her, speaks like her, cooks like her, and then you will see your mother will say immediately, yes, that's the one for you. Rabbi, thank you so much for this wonderful advice. A few months later, the rabbi comes in again into the synagogue, and he sees Moishele again sitting there on the bench crying. And he told him, Moishele, why are you crying? He says, Rabbi, I'm looking for a wife. But I told you what to do. He says, Rabbi, I did exactly what you told me. I found a girl who looks like my mom, dresses like her, cooks like her, speaks like her, everything. So I said, what's the problem? I said, my father said no. Ladies and gentlemen, to find a solution, it's not something so simple. We meet during times tough for our beloved Jewish state, Israel. Our bonds to the Holy Land are unshakable and unbreakable. Let's hope and pray for our brothers and sisters in the Holy Land to find peace and serenity. Amen. We now have a short message from the Israeli ambassador to Portugal.
Shalom, my friends. I would like to welcome you to Portugal and to the beautiful city of Porto. Unfortunately, I cannot be there with you in this important conference, but I would like to thank EJA for organizing it. You are discussing important issues regarding the futures of the Jewish communities in Europe, and as an ambassador of the Jewish state, I applaud you for doing so. The Jewish communities around the world are extremely important for the state of Israel, and it is our obligation to make sure that your communities, wherever you are, will be safe. Friends, the story of the Jewish community of Portugal is fascinating. It is a story that began hundreds of years ago, got to its lowest point, and is now building itself up again. The Jewish community is one that 500 years ago was a role model for communities around the world and almost completely vanished. In recent years, with the immense assistance of the Portuguese authorities, this community is reviving. Looking at the activities of the Jewish communities in Lisbon, Porto, Cascais, Belmont, Algarve, and even the one Jew who lives in the Azores Islands, show that there is a Jewish future here in Portugal, and that the Jewish community is once again an integral, open, and proud part of this country. The recognition of the Jewish heritage and the contribution being made to the Portuguese education system through institutions like the Holocaust Museum in Porto and the Jewish Museum in Lisbon that is yet to be built is enormous. As I often say, the Jewish community in this country is one of the only ones that is actually growing. It is true that the numbers are not significant yet, but it is happening. For example, last Hanukkah, for the first time, we organized a menorah lighting inside the City Hall of Lisbon, together with the mayor and many friends. The same menorah that up until 100 years ago, Jewish people had to light in closed, isolated rooms so nobody will catch them, is being lighted today in the main building of the city, together with the authorities. Another example, last Rosh Hashanah, due to our request, the President of the Republic published for the first time a special greeting for the Jewish community. The same president, together with the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Minister of Education, participated last January in the embassy official event for the Holocaust Memorial Day. And those examples are only from the last few months. What amazes me each time is the reaction I get from the Portuguese people. Everywhere I go, I hear people talking with me about their Jewish roots. According to research being conducted, about 20% of the Portuguese people today have Jewish roots, 1 out of 5, and they are proud of it. It is quite admirable to see the way this country looks at its past and confronts some of its most problematic eras. There is a black shadow in Portugal's history, and instead of ignoring it or running away from it, Portugal decided to recognize it and deal with it. That is the first and most important step in forgiveness. For that, I want to thank the Portuguese government and especially thank the Portuguese people. This special progress is also affecting the relations between the Jewish state and Portugal. The official diplomatic relation between the countries began 46 years ago, and since then, they have become stronger and stronger. Today, there are 16 weekly direct flights between the countries. A significant increase in the number of investments and commercial cooperation. More and more visits of delegation in several fields. And we even have the first Israeli unicorn to open an office here in Lisbon. The Portuguese people who visit Israel also receive the same warm welcome Israelis receive in Portugal. And therefore, we must continue to act so that these relations will grow stronger, because both countries only benefit from that. That is my embassy's mission and commitment, and we will keep pushing for it. The movement is very positive, but we are still not even nearing its full potential. There are great things happening here, but also some challenges. And for that, we need friends like the European Jewish community support. We need you to work together with us to overcome the challenges and achieve even greater things. A strong, independent, democratic Jewish state is not only in Israeli interest, but Jewish interest. That is why we all have to work together. My team and I at the embassy are open to sit and talk with you about the challenges in Portugal and how we can overcome them together. As we celebrate Israel's 75th year of independence, I want to assure us all that Israel will continue to be a strong, proud country that gives back to the world more than any other. A vibrant democracy with freedom and rights to all, no matter your race, gender, or religion. A country that fights for its security, but also does not stop to pursue for peace. A country that is a home for all Jews around the world, but also feels huge responsibility to make sure every Jewish person could live safely and freely wherever he or she is. This is Israel. This is us. We should be proud of our achievements and continue to work hard to get even better. Thank you, and have a good and fruitful conference. And see you all in Jerusalem soon. Shalom.
Ladies and gentlemen, I now have the great honor to present to you a new friend of ours at the EJA. Earlier, we discussed the renaissance of the Porto community. Now we move to a member of parliament for the French Renaissance Party. She is a well-known and respected public figure in the French Jewish community. She has always fought against anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism, first in the courtroom and now in the National Assembly chamber. Madame Caroline Yadan, Member of Parliament, please join us on stage.
Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, it's an honor for me to be with you tonight. I would have liked to be able to speak English tonight, but I will avoid causing unnecessary pain to your ears. So I will continue in French if you allow it. I'm sorry. Les Juifs influencent la vie économique et politique du monde. Il faut s'en méfier. Ils sont responsables de la mort de Jésus. Ils ne peuvent pas bien s'intégrer dans la société. On parle trop de la Shoah. Ils sont derrière les attentats du World Trade Center. Ils sont responsables de la fabrication et de la diffusion du virus du Covid. Ils ont volé la terre aux Palestiniens. Israël est un État raciste, un État nazi. Ces stéréotypes devraient dater d'un autre siècle. Ils sont malheureusement toujours d'actualité. Aux Pays-Bas, en Grèce, en France, au Portugal, en Allemagne, en Hongrie, en Pologne, en Roumanie, en Slovaquie, en Europe de l'Est comme en Europe de l'Ouest. Depuis 20 ans, nous assistons impuissants à une montée de l'antisémitisme en Europe qui ne se contente pas de vociférer, d'injurier, mais qui frappe, qui torture, qui fait aussi couler le sang, qui assassine. Sur les réseaux sociaux, des centaines de milliers de contenus antisémites mélangeant préjugés, complotisme, déni de la Shoah, amalgame avec le nazisme, détestation des Juifs et d'Israël sont diffusés, partagés, relikés, commentés, retweetés encore et encore jusqu'à atteindre des millions de vues. Condensant colère et frustration, ignorance, cette haine s'infiltre pernicieusement dans la société en recherche constante de boucs émissaires et se dévoile dans les manifestations en Europe. Gilets jaunes, anti-vax, manifestations en soutien au peuple palestinien. La banalisation du mal rampe là où nous pensions naïvement l'avoir expurgé à tout jamais. 80 ans après la Shoah dans les rues de Berlin, berceau du nazisme, on a crié drapeau palestinien à la main et fanatisme sur le visage, mort à Israël, mort aux Juifs. D'année en année, l'obsession anti-juive évolue, les accusations sur lesquelles elle se fonde aussi. Au gré de l'actualité, les habits antisémites du présent se drapent au choix d'antisionisme, d'islamisme, d'indigénisme, de complotisme, de négationnisme. Ces visages sont tantôt ceux de l'extrême droite, tantôt celui de l'extrême gauche. L'extrême gauche s'est aujourd'hui trouvé une spécialité. Israël comme incarnation du mal. Diaboliser l'État juif, l'accuser de pratiquer une politique d'apartheid, comme l'ont récemment fait les députés d'extrême gauche en France, l'essentialiser et le racialiser jusqu'à le nazifier, c'est permettre la levée de tous les interdits contre les Juifs. Jankélévitch aimait à rappeler que si les Juifs sont des nazis, alors ils méritent leur sort. Ou encore que l'antisionisme est une aubaine, car il nous donne la permission et même le droit et même le devoir d'être antisémites au nom de la démocratie. La haine du juif se drape derrière le drapeau vertueux de l'anticolonialisme. Pire encore, cette israélophobie, cette acrimonie passionnelle et obsessionnelle s'exprime au nom des droits de l'homme, mais elle ne saurait être confondue avec la critique légitime d'un gouvernement. Rappelons-le sans cesse, Israël est la seule démocratie du Proche et du Moyen-Orient. Une démocratie dans laquelle les citoyens bénéficient d'une égalité de droits, quelle que soit leur origine. C'est parce que cette démocratie est précieuse et que la séparation des pouvoirs l'est tout autant que les Israéliens l'expriment par milliers chaque samedi soir depuis plusieurs mois dans les rues de Jérusalem, de Haïfa, de Tel Aviv ou d'Ashdod. Ceux qui détestent Israël ne s'embarrassent jamais de dénoncer les attentats de civils, les roquettes tirées par milliers dans un ciel protégé par le dôme de fer, les boucliers humains, les tunnels construits pour frapper la population civile. Ils ne blâment jamais les pensions versées aux familles des terroristes. Ils ne condamnent pas les journalistes que le Hamas bâillonne, les femmes qu'il lapide ou encore les homosexuels qu'il emprisonne, voire qu'il exécute. Ceux qui détestent Israël gardent curieusement le silence sur les minorités opprimées de par le monde, sur les atteintes aux libertés fondamentales des peuples iraniens, ukrainiens, soudanais, cubains, arméniens, kurdes ou ouïghours. Ceux qui détestent Israël ne réprouvent jamais les programmes éducatifs basés sur la haine du juif, les comptines que les enfants de 6 ans récitent avec application, racontant à quel point il est bon d'être un martyr. À cet égard, je me réjouis que le Parlement européen ait enfin adopté il y a quelques jours, grâce notamment à l'action formidable de plusieurs collègues, dont mon amie Ilana Sikurel, une résolution condamnant l'autorité palestinienne pour le contenu haineux de ses manuels scolaires et subordonnant le financement futur de l'éducation à la suppression du contenu antisémite. Au commencement de la violence, il y a la pensée. À la pensée s'ajoute la parole, celle qui instrumentalise au nom de Dieu. Ce désir de croire plus fort que le goût de la vérité, cette hostilité assumée s'invite dans les prêches de certains imams radicaux et alimente l'islamisme, arme les terroristes. L'extrême gauche porte ainsi, par électoralisme et par idéologie, une lourde part dans le renouveau de l'antisémitisme en Europe. Cet état de fait ne doit néanmoins surtout pas nous faire oublier les dangers de l'extrême droite. Ne soyons pas dupes de sa tentative de dédiabolisation, notamment en France, où le Rassemblement national cherche une nouvelle respectabilité et a prétendu à la présidence du groupe d'études sur l'antisémitisme à l'Assemblée nationale. Cette volonté d'honorabilité ne serait éclipsée que l'antisémitisme est contenu dans son ADN, dans son projet, comme objectif ou comme conséquence. L'extrême droite démontre, si besoin en était, en Hongrie, en Pologne ou en Italie, qu'elle doit rester un repoussoir pour tout juif en Europe et dans le monde au nom de son projet d'exclusion et de sa xénophobie, contraire à nos valeurs, aux valeurs du judaïsme. Il est de notre responsabilité de dire à la droite européenne que si elle aime Israël parce qu'elle n'aime pas les musulmans, alors nous ne voulons pas de cet amour. En France, nous vivons un temps politique inédit. Au sein de l'Assemblée nationale, dans laquelle j'ai l'honneur de siéger comme députée de la 3e circonscription de Paris pour le groupe Renaissance, 2 groupes d'extrême gauche et d'extrême droite, représentant 184 députés sur 577, ont été élus en juin 2022. Au-delà de leurs accointances, comme leur soutien larvé à Vladimir Poutine, leur volonté de mettre à mal la République et ses fondements institutionnels, leurs électeurs partagent des points communs. Selon une étude Fondapol pour AGC, ces électeurs des extrêmes justifient, par exemple, le recours à la violence pour contester les décisions politiques et partagent de nombreux poncifs antisémites. C'est dans ce climat délétère que plusieurs députés, plusieurs collègues ont récemment reçu des missives antisémites abjectes. Au-delà des discours, il y a maintenant une urgence de vérité, mais aussi une urgence de résultats. Je déposerai prochainement sur recommandation de la DILCRA, une proposition de loi pour permettre la délivrance d'un mandat d'arrêt international pour les auteurs de délits racistes ou antisémites ou pour la contestation de crimes contre l'humanité. Notre combat est difficile, il est semé d'embûches, mais nous avons tous, quel que soit notre rôle, quel que soit notre statut, notre profession, politique, journaliste, artiste, militant associatif, un rôle à jouer. Il nous appartient de continuer à alerter et à analyser sans crainte ni ambiguïté, car l'ennemi se nourrit du silence, de l'inquiétante indifférence, de l'absence de clairvoyance et de lâcheté. Le courage, c'est de chercher la vérité et de la dire, nous rappelait Jean Jaurès. Être courageux en politique, c'est appréhender les responsabilités de chacun et les causes de ce mal qui, parce qu'il touche à notre humanité, est bien l'affaire de tous. Être courageux en politique, c'est dénoncer, au-delà des positions consensuelles, les sujets qui fâchent et accuser ceux qui doivent l'être. Ce combat est le nôtre. Je sais pouvoir compter sur vous, vous pourrez compter sur moi.
Thank you, Madame, for being a true friend to the Jewish community, to the Jewish people. You are always welcome at our events, and we all thank you sincerely for your work in the French Parliament. I would like to call on stage Chief Rabbi Jacobs for a special announcement.
The chief rabbi of Israel, the former chief rabbi, he told me once what happened to him when the Pope, the leader of the Roman Catholic Church in Rome, visited Jerusalem. The Pope, that's what the chief rabbi told me, went only to 2 private people. He paid a visit to the president, Shimon Peres, and he came to the house of the chief rabbi of Israel. And after the visit, that's what the chief rabbi told me, he was supposed to go to the north of Israel, where there would be a ceremony, a religious ceremony, for about 80,000 Roman Catholic people. It's quite a long distance from Jerusalem to the north of Israel. So the chief rabbi took him to the hospital. On the roof of the hospital, there was waiting for him, for the Pope, a helicopter. So he took the Pope to the helicopter, and then the pilot came out of the helicopter and said, "I'm sorry, very sorry, but the helicopter doesn't work. So I can't get straight to a new one, but we arranged for you a very expensive, good, nice car." Okay, so the Pope goes to the car and so driving, and then he's asking to the driver, "When will we arrive in the north of Israel?" Well, the driver said, "It will take at least 1.5 hours. 1.5 hours? In 20 minutes, I've got there my service. 80,000 people waiting for me. Can't you drive more speedy?" So he said, "Listen, I could, but I'm working for the state of Israel, and I'm only allowed to drive 100 kilometers an hour. I'm not going to, get the ticket. I'm not allowed to." Wait, said the Pope. "You sit in the back, and I'll drive myself." Popes are driving 100, 150, 200, 230, and at a certain moment, a police guy sees this car was racing like crazy and stopped. The car stopped, and then the police guy looks into the car and sees who's there. So he calls his superior and says, listen, I just had a car 230 kilometers an hour. Give them a fine. Give them a ticket. I'm sorry, it's a very important person in the car. Who, a member of the Knesset, of the parliament? No, much more important. A minister? No. The president? No. So who is it? It's a foreigner. But who? I don't know, but the Pope is his driver. Why am I telling this story? Because, you know, in the Jewish religious world, you never finish something. At the moment you finish, you start from the beginning again. If you finish reading the Torah, straight away, the same day, we start from the beginning again. So the question is, what are we going to do next year with this conference? Where are we going? To what country? To what place? To what town? Well, it would be nice to go to Jerusalem. But we are European, with EJA, European Jewish Association, European. Now, well, Jerusalem is not in Europe. Or perhaps, yes. As you might know, Amsterdam was called Jerusalem of the West. And since we are today in Portugal, what would be more nice than next year have this conference in the Jerusalem of the West? And where in Jerusalem of the West? Near and in the Portuguese synagogue, the oldest synagogue of Europe. There will be our next conference. You're all welcome next year with the help of God in Jerusalem of the West. And I spoke already with the director of the Jewish quarter in what the Portuguese synagogue is. I spoke already with, the joke was about the Pope. I didn't speak with the Pope yet, but I did speak with a Christian organization in Israel, what are fighting day and night to support Israel. A few months ago, the mayor of Jerusalem came for 24 hours to Holland just to visit them and tell them thank you for being supported for Israel. This organization is also going to do whatever they can to make the coming conference into a huge and impressive success like this one. Thank you all for being here, and please hope to see you next year here in Jerusalem of the West.
Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who didn't understand 100%, it's going to be in Amsterdam. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the evening. A big round of applause to Adlib Strings for their wonderful music this evening. Speaking of Jerusalem, just to announce that Shacharit, the morning prayer tomorrow morning, will be same place, same time, -2 in the hotel, Nusach Ashkenaz. 8 a.m. Arvit, yes, right after dinner. I would like to call on stage our event coordinator, Mrs. Shirley, to give us a couple of announcements what we are doing tomorrow.
Hi, everyone. For those of you maybe not know me, I'm the event coordinator of the EGA. It's a pleasure to see you all and to see you all smiling. The few things that you need to know are as follows. Tomorrow, the buses are leaving at 9 sharp. Very sharp. So let's all meet in the lobby at 9. Breakfast, as usual, is open between 7 to 9. You will have the morning prayers, and the other very important thing that you need to search for is this. This is how you get home, if you provided me with your travel details, as usual. The first column will show you the time of your pickup. If you have any issues, questions, my number is at the back of every program, at the end of every email, and I'm always at the desk. Okay? Bye, everyone.